Well, today we have Feux d'artifice, Fireworks by Claude Debussy. This is the last prelude from Book 2. It's really kind of a culmination of both books in terms of materials, in terms of development. It also harkens back to what the West Wind saw in Book 1, and at some point I'm going to discuss that one as well, and I may do a comparison of some of the things because they have some similar technical and musical and theoretical traits that I think he was thinking of. And this also is very much like an etude, you could argue. You know, it's fast, it's technically difficult, it has varied kinds of passages. You know, he was thinking ahead towards the etudes. The etudes were more 1915, this would have been 1912. So he was undergoing a change in his thinking and in his process. This starts, you know, how Debussy likes to work with the elements. Always some relationship to tonality, but he forges this new language. And in this case, we have whole tone 1 in the left hand, represented by the white keys, and then behind door number 2, we have whole tone 0 with the right hand. So it's a perfect juxtaposition, white key, black key, different whole tone scales, and of course if you combine them you get the full chromatic collection, and this is what he does systematically as he goes through this piece. Start with the D, our friend the tritone, the symmetrical construction, D to A flat in this case. It's symmetrical, which means it can lead to a new means of progression too. I've talked about Z cells before. Fireworks has Z cells. I'm not going to bore you pointing out where they are. But the protagonists are introduced at the beginning. First we have the D A flat, then we go. He adds the C D of whole tone 0. He's filling it out. Then the whole process accelerates. And then what does it dissolve into? This black key glissando, which is actually purely pentatonic. So it's an interesting thing. And then it's like, well, these are fireworks after all. So it's like the embers, boom, boom. You know, this part of the show is over. We've had the big explosion. Now, we still have the white key, black key dichotomy, left hand, right hand. But of course, that's purely chromatic. Well, chromatic here and then whole tone there. It's an interesting combination. You know, he's combined the two whole tone now into this chromatic collection. Then it just completely breaks out. What do we have? It's actually a C dominant 7th chord. Well, what is more diatonic? What's more based in tonality than C, right? And then a C dominant 7th, everything is predicated on tonic dominant relationships, right? I've talked about this before, 5 and 1. Of course, C7 is for the key of F, but still, he's taken this white key collection, added the B flat. Of course, there's going to be further development. Of course, we had the B flat before, you know, so, but it, C, and then it's funny, we end up going right into the chromatic collection. He just completely juxtaposes them. Well, I can't do it up to speed right now. You know, completely chromatic, and then notice our dominant 7th is now tinged going back up. We have this C, C sharp. You know, there's an interval expansion going on, this half-step expansion. I've talked about that before as well. La Terrasse will have that. Many of his pieces start, and then he'll go up a half step, and that forms the basis of other development as he goes forward. And then we go on, and it's different. You know, he goes through the chromatic. He uses these shared sections. You know, I talked about how he combined whole tone 0 and whole tone 1. You know, this collection and this collection, first to the chromatic. Then it becomes octatonic. That scale, this Eastern European mystery scale, right? He becomes that. And what's interesting, at the end, we get this. These are all tritodes. I mean, triads. C minor, E flat major, E flat, and then C sharp, chromatically juxtaposed, right? And then with the Marseillaise, the French national anthem of all things, in the key of C. You know, what's interesting about this is we have these, dominant seventh, the diminished seventh with these triads. It finally explodes into this dual glissando, which is white key, black key, all the notes, everything. He throws everything into the mix, into the soup. He winds it down. That chromatic thing going down is the same as we had. It's that same idea of this pure chromatic collection. Instead of going up and developing everything, now that he's at the end, and we have this D flat, A flat tonic dominant thing going on. So black key, it's flopped, right? We started with white key, black key. Now it's black key, white key. With the Marseillaise, purely white key, C sharp diatonic. Flat of all things. So, is it really in the key of D flat? Does it behave like anything in the key of D flat? No, it's not functional tonality, but he's not completely leaving the realm. This is what made Debussy so special, and paved the way for composers like Ginastera, some of the other international composers in South America and France and Russia for that matter, because he didn't destroy tonality, because he didn't go to 12 tone where all the 12 tones had equal importance. He retained references to the system from which he came, the tonal system, and that's what makes him and this piece so special.